Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Checking In with Tommy Else. I am your host, who else but Tommy Else. And how's everyone doing out there? How you holding up? Are you going crazy? Are you keeping it together? Are you getting along with your family and your spouse and significant others and what have you? Or are you one of those people out there on the front lines working right now, working in the stores and doing the essential work out there? Either way, I hope everybody's healthy and comfortable and doing the best they can. We're still in the thick of it. I know that there's talk that we're going to get out of quarantine in a couple of weeks. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it should happen, to be honest. I think that, honestly, if you ask me, we should be pushing this until June just to be on the safe side. You could start letting up on a few restrictions here and there, just as we kind of eased into things a couple of weeks at a time. I think that we should be doing that on the way out, and I think that's what they will do. But they're going to frame it a little differently to try to get the public to think that they're getting their freedom back a little bit quicker. Uh, but I think that it's necessary for us to be in this situation and to be on lockdown, and that's fine. And I don't know. Personally, like I've said before, I have lived most of my adult life in isolation, living alone and working my job the way that I do. I'm not around a lot of people to begin with, so this hasn't been like a huge stretch for me. So I can understand why a lot of people are chomping at the bit to get this over with and get back to, normal. But normal's really never going to be normal again. It's going to just be something different. But yeah, we'll be able to get back to getting outside and what have you. So all that being said, today I have a special guest, as they are all special. But today, as I'm trying to talk to a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different demographics, my guest today helps fill a gap in that spectrum, in that she is a 16 going on 17-year-old teenager, and her name is Cameron Raithel. Cameron and I first met when she was probably around 12 years old. She was at a Resistance Pro show with her family. Her family is good friends with the owner, Jacques Barron of Resistance Pro, and her best friend is his daughter. So she certainly spent some time around the R Pro scene, and she herself being a very big wrestling fan, very big. Really lives and breathes it. I don't know that I've ever seen her in a shirt that was not a wrestling shirt. And she can talk wrestling with the best of them, and is one of my favorite people to talk wrestling with, catch up on what's going on and what have you. She's an aspiring wrestler herself now at this point, and Jacques was kind enough to send her my way to help her get working on her conditioning, so that when she goes to actually get real wrestling training, she'll have the best chance possible of being ahead of her class a little bit in the conditioning aspect of things and be able to focus more on the wrestling part. So I train with her, and I thought she would be someone good to have on the show, given her age and her situation, and let her share with us what it's like being a 17-year-old in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic. I'm 40 years old. I've never been a part of anything like this before. Most people in my life who are twice my age have never seen this before or had to respond to something like this before. So it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say from her point of view. So, without further ado, please welcome my guest, Miss Cameron Raithel. All right, Cameron, how you doing? Welcome
Good,
to the
how
show.
are you? Thank
Good. Thanks for taking some time out of your very busy schedule right now to to hang out with us.
No worries.
Um, so just to kind of give people a little background, how old did you say you were when we first met?
Think I was about 11 or 12.
Yeah, and you were at a Resistance Pro show with
Yes.
your family. And now, how old are you now? 16?
Yeah, I turned 17 in 2 weeks.
Okay. So what are you gonna do for your birthday in 2 weeks? Nothing, I guess, huh?
No, I wanted to go down to see my family, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So spending it in quarantine, I guess.
Yeah. So, I'm 40 years old. I've lived your life twice over, at least by now, and I've never gone through what everyone's going through right now. And so I'm as new to this quarantine thing and pandemic issue as you are. But how long have you been out of school for how long now?
I believe since March 13th, so
So,
almost about a month.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so are you doing any of the homeschool stuff, the online schooling?
Yeah, we had e-learning for a little bit, which apparently is different than virtual high school. So virtual high school is actually taking your things for a grade, but they actually just canceled our finals, so we're not taking any final testing, which is just now what's the point
Right.
in school at this point because some people don't have the advantage of doing the schoolwork, but yet now you're canceling all of this testing that we're doing all this work for essentially. So I'm still doing it, but it's just like at this point what's the point of it if we don't have
So,
testing?
so the e-learning you don't get graded on.
Yeah, which is odd. They're like, we're gonna have like a week of it, and then that was before spring break. It was just like March 31st through April 5th or something. We just got off it this week,
Do you think
and
they were just kind of like trying to test it out first and see how it went before they started holding people accountable to it? Or is it
yeah, I think that's what it is. Because like my brother, he's younger than me, but they're not taking anything of his for a grade. I don't think. Even he's doing the virtual schooling,
yeah,
so it's just weird. Like some of the schools are not doing it, and he's in junior high, so he's doing something different than high schoolers. So it's just like it's different situations, I guess. If one's younger, one's older, then they all have
right.
different things.
So you're home. I know the last time I talked to you when we trained, I think you said the words "I miss school."
Yes, I did.
And I've heard that now. I talked to my sister, she's 13, and she said the same thing too.
Hmm.
And I can't at any point in my childhood ever imagine having uttered those words. But what is it that you miss about school right now?
I think the big point is that I'm not a big socializer outside of school, and so when I'm in school, I get to see my friends. It's almost harder to see them outside of school because of jobs and homework and everything. So, I mean, I feel like I had a lot more fun actually physically being there, and it's so much easier to learn, in my opinion, to actually be there physically and learn instead of
Yeah,
doing it online and almost teaching myself.
right.
So, and I feel like a lot of people almost feel the same way, and I think it's probably just because of the socializing part because we literally cannot do anything right now. We really can't leave the house.
Yeah.
So, and I actually miss my teachers a lot. They've done a lot for me. And so, I've had a lot of fun this year, even though junior year is almost the hardest for me. It's just, it's almost taking a toll on me when you've been gone for a month. You're like, maybe I do need a break. But then you go on the break and you're like, I kind of miss school. So I
Yeah.
think that's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, like, I didn't have a big social life outside of school either because I had a younger brother. I had to be home and watch after school and stuff. So the time that I got to see my friends was when I was at school. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I can sympathize. I can definitely sympathize with that. And it's nice to hear that you actually miss your teachers too, because I didn't have very many teachers who I would have missed. I would have missed. I would have missed. I might have missed, but that's not a lot. So what are you doing besides the school at home and stuff right now to kill the time during the day?
I have been sleeping in until like 12 and 1, which is not good. But, when I
It's going to
wake
be a
up,
hard habit to get out of once you finally have to get back to the real world again.
yes, it definitely will. I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule, but, it's kind of hard to wake up at 9 in the morning when you stayed up until 4.
Sure.
So, But you know, ever since I got my Switch Christmas, and I just haven't really had time to play it until this whole quarantine thing. I've been playing a lot of games on there. I finished Luigi's Mansion 3, and then Animal Crossing. That's what I've
Yeah,
been playing
yeah.
a
I
lot.
know all about the Animal Crossing. Yeah, you and everyone else is playing Animal Crossing,
Yeah.
right? Except me. But if somebody wants, sorry, and sorry about dropping the dime on you the other night. By the way, I was on Facebook and was saying, hey, look, if somebody wants to spend $60 and buy me Animal Crossing, then I'll play it. And then your mom came back and went, $60. She's like, I had no idea she spent that much money on that game.
I was like, I
I
find
thought, oh
money
shit, I gave her out.
well, I thought she would know because she has access to my bank account. So it's like,
Yeah.
but she's like, we had to discuss it first. I'm like, okay, but I was never told we had to discuss things that I would have to spend my money on unless it's like $100 or something. But
So what's going on with work? Because you just recently started working at is it like a diner basically or
yeah, just about. It's if you think of a Pops almost, it's kind of almost like a Pops, but it's not franchise.
okay, so it's privately owned, and so are you still working there at all right now, or are you out?
No, yeah, I work about almost 2 days a week, maybe even one. I was actually not working at all last week. They've cut down the hours by a lot because our dining room isn't open, so we only have like 3 to 4 people working when we usually have 5 to 6.
Yeah,
So,
are you guys
um,
just doing like curbside pickup stuff or
yeah, we have the drive-through open, and then you can come inside the restaurant and place an order and carry it out, but you cannot sit down and whatever. And the funny thing is, someone came in and was like, "Hey, can we eat outside?" And I thought they meant the diner area. I'm like, "No, I thought you would know that by now." But they meant actually sitting outside in the patio because we have like a little patio area. But the thing
yeah,
is, it's right by like a major intersection where it leads into a highway. So I'm like, we haven't cleaned those tables in months. So you have all
right?
the traffic and everything else, and it's all gross. And right now the whole social distancing thing, I understand it's your family, but it's like it was nice outside, I get it. But like I said, it's almost defeating the purpose of this whole social distancing thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And we warned them, we're like, it's gross. We wouldn't suggest you sitting out there. And they ended up sitting out there. I was like, it kind of just everybody who was working that day was like, for what reason? But I mean, while I'm at work, I've been taking a lot of precautions as wearing a mask and washing my hands every, 5 minutes almost, as if I'm on drive-through because you're touching money a lot. Or if I'm on soup and salad, making the salads and everything, I will like wash my hands after every salad so nothing gets contaminated or anything. So,
Well, that's good. You're doing your job well. So let me ask you this. I mean, you know, this is a big deal, and you're 16, and I mean, is, how do you feel about this? Like, is this scary for you? Do you feel comfortable that we're gonna be okay and get through it, and it doesn't bother you? I mean, how do you emotionally how are you emotionally dealing with this right now?
um, honestly, I would think I would have a lot of anxiety because I do have anxiety about like just everything, little small things. It just gets to me. But when I was younger, when this whole Ebola thing was going on, I would not leave the house. I was like, I'm not getting out of bed. It really struck me hard, even though there wasn't that many cases
Well, how
in the
old were
United
you
States.
then? Because that was a while ago, the
I think
Ebola thing.
I think it was fifth grade. So about
Yeah,
7 years ago, probably. Not seven. Well,
yeah, that was
6,
more.
whatever, you get my point.
But
But yeah. But
so, but you understood it. You understood at that age, though, like what the implications of the Ebola virus were and everything. That's pretty good, actually.
yeah, it's like because I think it's mostly because of social media, and I kind of wish I never got social media because I think that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from because you see all of these things and people putting out almost fake news or over exaggerating things or putting out
Right.
something that's not factually true. So, I mean, right now, I'm gonna say I'm not like educated on the coronavirus, but you almost know the basics, not to go out, wash your hands and everything. But it's just very weird, I guess, because I'm in my house and I would rather have the choice to leave and
Right.
actually do things because I would rather stay in my house, but not to have the choice to do anything kind of sucks. So, I think the only thing that's really, making me change is like the way, we're all living right now. I mean, that's for everybody. So, emotionally, I think it's just almost gonna make me get more anxiety because I'm not going out, stuck in a house. I'm not really doing much. So I
Yeah,
think that's the only part that's really gonna, negatively affect me.
yeah.
So,
Staying at home is fine, but it's when you are when it becomes against your will.
mhm,
When something gets taken away from you, no matter how much you take it for granted, and then suddenly you can't have it. That's when you want it the most. You know.
exactly.
So, so I understand that. With so your mother works in healthcare, and she's what does she do?
So she works in a nursing home,
Okay.
and um, they actually had a couple coronavirus cases there. She was working with a nurse practitioner. She was tested positive. And then one of the patients there got tested positive also. And I mean, that's really why, I'm trying not to leave the house and, alleviate everything. But I mean, at some point, it's just like I have to, I let my work know what was going on. And they're like,
Right.
okay, but I haven't she didn't have physical contact with him. He was just, or she was just in his, premises.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, they're setting up a hall and everything for cases or if they have any, noticeable symptoms of the virus. And I mean, I have a lot of my family members who work in healthcare, so it's just very scary to say the least. And my great grandma had the coronavirus, so but she's out of the hospital now, which is good. But
Did
I
you
mean,
say
it's just
she did get it? Your
yeah,
grand
my great grandma, yeah, she got it.
your great grandmother?
Yeah,
How old is she?
93.
Holy cow! And she's gotten through it already?
Yeah, they let her out of the hospital, so I'm assuming
Wow.
she's okay for now. So
Wow.
yeah,
Well, good for her, man.
yeah.
That's 93, and she beat that. Good for her. Well, I'm
Mhm.
glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, so, well, then, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a lot of anxiety too when you've got so many family members who are like in the, right in the line of fire, of
Yeah.
this whole thing. So, do you feel like, you still have your whole life ahead of you, I mean, do you feel like this puts you on guard at least in any a way as far as future pandemics or something like this happening again down the road?
See, a lot
Or
of people. I'm sorry.
Well, or is this something that you think you can kind of just file away when it's done and get back to life and not think about it too much?
I think it's definitely not going to be something I can just, throw it in the past because, noticeably, I've been becoming a bigger germaphobe. Definitely, I never really cared about germs in the first place, and now this whole thing is going on. But I mean, a lot of people have been saying it's definitely going to affect the future. They really haven't said how, but I just feel
Yeah,
like there is something that's going to change at least for after everything is done.
yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of things that are going to change, but I don't think anybody really knows in what way. It's necessity is the mother of invention, they say, and so as things become necessary, new things will come to light. New things will be invented. New procedures will be done. I
Hmm.
think when you start going to concerts, people are going to start. They're going to be like hitting you with the laser to check your temperature and things
Yeah.
like that. So it's like after 9/11 happened, a million things changed in the world, to
Hmm.
start trying to accommodate, the what happened with that. So yeah, so we'll see. But I just figure, you're the one, inheriting the earth at this point, and
Yeah.
so I'm just curious to know how you see things, going. I mean, like, um, I'm hopeful that this will be a good chance for all of us to realize that we're not invincible and that we can be affected by something like this. Sorry, that's a train going by.
That's okay.
Somebody asked me the other day. I was doing an online training session and they heard that and they're like, "Did you just flush the toilet?"
No.
I said, "No." I'm like, "You can see me. I'm not sitting on the toilet." Anyway, um, well, to leave it on a higher note, a more positive note, you and I have not gotten to talk since WrestleMania went down. And I am curious to know what you thought of the showcase of the Immortals being held in an empty arena over 2 nights. What did you think now that you've seen it?
Honestly, I think it was really good for like what we had. You know, they couldn't go in a bigger arena or like a stadium. We had no crowd, and I think that's what the big part of WrestleMania, having everybody from around the world go into a stadium. So, I think they pulled it off really well. Kind of surprised that Shayna Baszler and the Becky match did not go as long as it probably lasted about 10 minutes, maybe a little less. It was just odd. They hyped it up and then they didn't have that long of a match.
Right.
But the match of AJ Styles and Undertaker, the Boneyard match, I really liked how they actually had it as like a cinematic thing going on.
Yeah.
And same thing goes towards, the Bray Wyatt and John Cena match. That really, I enjoyed those two. I mean, it was, people had different opinions on it, but it was a different turn. They're trying to entertain us somehow, and they did it. So I
I
fairly
I
enjoyed it.
I thought it was a good chance for them to take advantage of a situation like this to do those remote shots because you could never have done that graveyard match if you had an 80,000 person stadium.
Exactly.
Exactly. It would never have worked. And you couldn't have done the Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse match, which that was one of the most. And I've been watching wrestling a long time, but that was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Uh, I mean, it was entertaining, but I mean, I sat there just like, what am I looking at
I
right
know, I
now?
was
Like,
like,
what is
oh my
happening?
God.
And it kept going and it kept going, and I was just like, this is hurting my head.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so it was weird to sit and watch an empty arena of WrestleMania, but they did what they had to do, and I think they did do a good job. I thought the matches were all pretty solid too. I thought
Oh,
there
yeah,
was
definitely.
some good stuff. So let's see. So uh, I'll end with two questions, and then I'll let you go here. Um, what would you say has been the hardest part of this whole thing for you so far?
Um, I would say just definitely not seeing anybody because, I have my own car now and I want to go to Peoria and see my family. And I can't do that. I mean, like I said, everybody works in healthcare, and I can't see my friends and everything else. And so I think the whole just social distancing part is the hardest part for me because, like I said earlier, I can't see anybody, and I'm so used to doing everything at school, and I can't be there. So it's just hard not to like get in contact with everybody, be like, "Hey, come over." You can't. So
Right. Are you doing like more video chatting with anybody than you usually do, or has it been kind of the same?
see, I never really was a big person on video chatting anyways.
Okay.
So, I haven't really been doing that, and I've just been texting a lot more than I
Yeah.
would usually be. So, yeah.
All right. And last of all, if there's anything good that has come of this, what would you say there is? What would you say has been the best thing that's happened
Um,
in the last
Definitely, um, personally, I would say probably a better connection with my family because now we all have our work hours cut. So, I mean, except for my mom, but I mean, we're all spending a lot more time together now. I'm not fighting with each other. We're actually getting along.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's
that's
just,
good. That's
yeah.
good. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. That's what I like to hear. Good. Well, all right. Well, that's all. I just wanted to check in on you and see how you're doing and see what a 16-year-old thinks about a worldwide pandemic. You know, thanks for coming on and being here with us. And part of what I want to do with these is when things finally hopefully settle down and we get back to normal, I'll check back in with you again and then see how things went for you and how life is on the other side of this thing. So hopefully we can do this again. All right.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks for being on. Take
You're
care.
welcome. You're welcome.
All right. That was Cameron Raithel. Thank you again to her for coming on the show and talking with us and sharing with us her experience. For her, it sounds like she's in a position where it's a little scarier because she's got, several family members in the healthcare field in various aspects who are, in harm's way, but there's a lot of people out there who are, and we need those people. If you do get this virus, you need someone who can be there to help you and get you through that. People can't hook themselves up to ventilators and what have you, and the elderly can't take care of themselves in the nursing home if they get it. So her mother and other relatives are all right there on the front lines. So, I know that it seems almost cliche at this point to say thank you to all of those people, but it's not. It's something that just can't be said enough. And congratulations to her great grandmother at 93 years old for getting it and kicking out of it. I mean, that's something. Talk about having the odds against you, and for her to kick out, that's awesome. So you live 93 years, and then you get hit with a pandemic, and then you make it out of that. That's pretty impressive. So I tip my hat. So thank you again to Cameron for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Again, she's one of my favorite people. I appreciate her unending enthusiasm for the world of pro wrestling and her dreams of aspiring to be a part of it. I have no doubt that if she wants to do it, there's nothing that can stop her from doing it. She can be a part of it, and she can. And I would be very honored to get to someday be sitting in a crowd and watch her perform. So I look forward to that day. So for checking in with Tommy Else, I have been your host. Who else but Tommy Else? And join us next time. And in the meantime, please be well. And I wish you nothing but peace and love.